You're listening to a production of the National Media Archive. To learn more or volunteer, go to nationalmediaarchive.com.
Let me ask you, if you had unlimited resources, what would your dream home look like? For billionaires, home is less about comfort and more about spectacle. We're talking penthouses, stately piles, even fairy tale palaces siege designed to shout, not whisper, "I've made it." These aren't just homes, they're fortresses, or as I like to call them, embassies. The transformation budgets alone are mind-boggling. Imagine walking through a country house with dual swimming pools off the kids' bedrooms, yes, one for each child. Why? Because in this world, asking why is almost silly. The ultra-wealthy, live, itinerant, almost poetic lifestyles. 5, 6, 7 houses scattered across the globe, yet none of them truly feels like home. Here's the paradox. With all this extravagance, there's a sense of impermanence. These properties are investment vehicles first, homes second at all. One client I know has a country estate with a full-time staff, fresh flowers every morning, yet he's never spent a night there. Now you might be thinking, isn't that lonely? Well, it absolutely can be. More on that later. But first, consider two key terms: asset appreciation and liquidity. For billionaires, property is as tradable as stocks or fine wine. It's about storing and growing wealth, not putting down roots. The world's most coveted homes become chess pieces in a global game of status and finance. So, why do billionaires keep amassing these properties? Is it really about lifestyle? Or something deeper, maybe a need for security? Or just one-upmanship? Let's dig into the next chapter. Why London, above all, has become the world's billionaire magnet. Why is London the beating heart of billionaire property investment? Well, let me tell you a story. Not so long ago, London was simply another major city. Fast forward 15 years, and it's a shimmering magnet for the international super rich. Over 100 billionaires call it a home of sorts. Their fortunes have grown at a rate that make your head spin. We're talking about asset bubbles and property booms that rewrite the skyline. But what's the draw? Two technical terms to keep in mind: capital flight and asset class. London property offers stability and a way to park money safely out of reach from political upheaval or currency risks abroad. For many, it's less about living in London and more about what London represents: a safe, buoyant market. Now, you might be thinking, isn't it bad for locals if all these overseas buyers snap up homes? But here's the twist. Some argue it's a sign of success, fueling development and global cachet. Look at the skyline buildings that didn't exist 15 years ago shimmer with foreign capital. Let's not forget the phenomenon known as super prime properties like £25 million mega mansions in North London, complete with 9-hole golf courses and enough space to swing a tiger, if that's your thing. But as we'll see, this boom comes with surprising consequences and a new kind of real estate rivalry. Let's talk super prime. What is it? It's the uppermost echelon of the real estate ladder, where £20 million mansions are snapped up as easily as collectors buy rare art. Think of it as the Formula One of proper exquisite gardens, guest houses, and, of course, private cinemas and swimming pools. Here's something to ponder. Is a 9-hole golf course in central London necessary, or just a statement? For these buyers, it's about one-upmanship, a technical term that's practically a way of life for the ultra-wealthy. If your neighbor builds a cinema, you build a bowling alley. If they build a pool, you build two. Now, a hypothetical. Imagine being shown around a 20-square-foot mansion you'll only visit a handful of times a year. The housekeeper keeps the flowers fresh, the handyman keeps the lights on, but you're thousands of miles away. Here's the conflict. These homes are more assets than abodes, often standing empty while their value soars, and yet the social competition is fierce. Who owns the biggest, the best, the most enviable address? This relentless pursuit of the next big thing shapes not just lifestyles, but entire neighborhoods. But what does it mean for the city and for the meaning of home itself? So who's actually buying these super prime properties? Let me paint the picture. Many come from Eastern Europe, think Moscow oligarchs, or the Middle East, where family size and grandeur matter. For these clients, technical terms like accessibility and amenity count are non-negotiable. Stairs? Forget eat a lift is a must, even if it's just a few steps up. Now, you might wonder, isn't that excessive? But for these buyers, it's about replicating the comforts and the prestige of home wherever they go. Proximity to luxury landmarks like Harrods is as vital as Wi-Fi. Here's a fun hypothetical. You're a billionaire from Qatar house hunting in London. Your checklist? New, shiny, elevator access, and a garden big enough for your extended family. If it impresses your friends, even better. But here's the setup. For many, these properties are just another investment. They may never stay more than a few days a year, but the house must always be ready, pristine, and, above all, impressive. This brings us to a key dynamic of this market: luxury real estate as a form of social signaling. It's a never-ending game of prestige, and the stakes keep rising. Here's a twist you might not expect. Walk down so-called Billionaires Row, and you'll find house after house standing empty. These are not homes in the traditional sense, they're financial instruments, sometimes left vacant for years. Take this story. One client owns 7 North London mansions, but spends just 12 days a year in the city. The rest of the time? The only signs of life are butterflies in the garden and the staff keeping everything polished. This is known as the phenomenon of ghost mansions. Two technical terms at play here: absentee ownership and capital appreciation. For billionaires, the emotional investment is low, the financial payoff potentially huge. Now, you might ask, doesn't this create a sense of isolation? Absolutely. Without roots, the ultra-wealthy often lack genuine community ties. Their gatherings are formal, their relationships transactional. The heart of the home, often the kitchen for most of uses, replaced by a string of staff and fleeting acquaintances. So while these properties symbolize triumph, they also highlight an unexpected cost: social and emotional disconnection. Let's jet to the French Riviera glittering Cannes, Monaco, the Côte d'Azur. Here, the super rich compete in the world's most exclusive property race. Picture this: the Venetian Palace, a 95 million estate with 30 square meters of living space. That's 34 times bigger than the average British home. But what's the real draw? Two essential concepts: tax haven and exclusivity. Monaco, for example, offers not only sky-high property values, but also near-total tax advantages and unparalleled security. Billionaires can wear their jewelry on the street with no fear of rarity worldwide. A hypothetical dialogue: why trade a palace on the Riviera for a 3-bedroom flat in Monte Carlo? The answer: safety, privacy, and a view worth 40 million. But even here, properties often stand empty, maintained by armies of staff but rarely lived in. The competition is relentless, bigger, flashier, more exclusive every year. So, the French Riviera and Monaco aren't just about sunsets and yachts. They're the epicenter of a global real estate arms race, driven by prestige and financial strategy. What happens when you run out of space in London? You dig down literally. Welcome to the world of iceberg homes, where the real luxury lies beneath the surface. Imagine a mansion with a basement larger than the house itself. Housing, swimming pools, cinemas, gyms, even art galleries. Two technical terms here: subterranean extension and planning permission. These underground expansions are feats of engineering, but they come with risks: structural, legal, and social. Let me tell you a real story. In Primrose Hill, a neighbor's basement build led to disaster. The house next door nearly collapsed, walls cracked, and the owner was left shivering in a half-destroyed home for years. Now, you might think, why not just go to the gym or the cinema down the street? For the super rich, it's about having everything under one roof: status, convenience, and, yes, bragging rights. But the relentless digging has sparked backlash from the merely wealthy neighbors, who must cope with noise, dust, and sometimes catastrophic structural damage. The pursuit of bigger basements is pushing the limits literally and figuratively. Let's talk about the domino effect of these mega basements. When one billionaire digs down, others follow. Streets become construction zones for years. I've seen neighborhoods where nearly every house is building a 4-level basement with ballrooms, cinemas, and 45-foot pools. Technical terms here: construction externalities and property devaluation. These refer to the unintended consequences: noise, dust, even subsidence that impact everyone nearby. In some cases, entire roads have collapsed, turning prime real estate into temporary disaster zones. Now, imagine waking up one morning to find half your street swallowed by a sinkhole. One family watched as a construction skip plunged into a bomb crater-sized hole and water poured into their kitchen. Their home repairs? Estimated at 350, zero, with no one to hold accountable as the property next door changed hands via offshore companies. This is the conflict. The law often lags behind reality. Planning permissions are granted despite hundreds of objections because there's no legal basis to refuse a double or triple basement. It's a cautionary tale of how luxury ambitions can disrupt entire communities, leaving neighbors to pick up the pieces sometimes literally. Here's a question. What happens when luxury homes start to resemble five-star hotels? For billionaires, this is the new normal. They want Uber hotel standards, 24/7 staff, concierge services, hidden technology, and finishes fit for royalty. Let me give you two technical terms: branded residence and home automation. Some London penthouses are now serviced by top hotels like the Mandarin Oriental. Others are equipped with rotating watch winders, hidden TVs, and even bathtubs designed for panoramic views of the city. Now, you might ask, does this mean there's no personal touch? Often, yes. These homes are showpieces, places to impress, not necessarily to live in. Kitchens are ripped out for the latest trend. Staircases are replaced on a whim. But here's the irony. All this investment creates a sense of sameness. The taste is homogenized, the individuality lost. It's luxury by committee driven by designers, not by the owner's hearts. So while these properties dazzle, they often lack what most of us would call a Sula place to truly call home. So after all that effort, all those millions, what do billionaires really get out of their properties? Here's the paradox. These homes are fortresses providing security, privacy, and a buffer from the outside world. But they can also become gilded cages, where the owner is isolated from ordinary life. Two final technical terms: social insulation and transience. The ultra-wealthy often find themselves surrounded by staff, but lacking meaningful relationships. Their social circles are limited to others in their leaguer, as some call it, the global ghetto of great luxury. Let me ask you, would you trade connection and community for marble bathrooms and private cinemas? Many billionaires do, and yet the sense of impermanence often lingers. Homes are bought, gutted, rebuilt, and sometimes left empty mere pit stops in a life defined by movement. Now, you might be thinking, does all this really make them happy? The evidence suggests otherwise. Even the most exquisite property can become just another asset, admired but never loved. In the end, the story of billionaire property is a study in contrasts. Staggering wealth, relentless competition, but also profound loneliness. It's a reminder that the true value of a home can't always be measured in square feet or marble tiles.